Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello, welcome back to Right on Track. I am so honored to welcome a very special guest onto the show today, Judy Rodman. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing, Demi? Good to be with you.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a Monday morning and things are looking good. It's raining on the flowers and all's well.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's so fantastic you're joining me today because we're going to be talking all about the voice from a songwriter perspective, which is super interesting. And I'm so excited to get into this. But before we get into the interview, can you please share with the listeners a little bit about your journey, how you got to where you are now, and all that you do?
Well, long story short, I've been in the business for about 50 years and under one hat or another. And, from the beginning, doing jingles to club work to where I dissected songs. I had no idea how much I was learning there. Jingle work was about precision for the voice and all that, and did that for many years in Memphis. Sang, behind all kinds of records, session singing, R&B in Memphis, and country, and all kinds of things in Nashville. And anyway, just a lot. Then I became an artist, and I started writing my own songs. And in fact, that's how I became an artist, is because Tommy West liked the stuff I was writing. And I was writing because some other people weren't writing what I wanted to say. So that's how I started writing. And I didn't even know I was a songwriter, but I had dissected songs for so many years that I knew a lot more than I realized I did. So I became an artist, and, I had some success there. I was the new female vocalist of Academy of Country Music. And I was on like Tonight Show and all kinds of big TV shows and productions and all that, and wrote for MTM Records for a number of years. And then that wall closed when the label folded. So then I became even more of a songwriter. And so I've got over 600 or 700 songs, I guess, in catalogs, including MCA or Universal now, BMG, Warner Chappell, Chrysalis, and now my Favorable Wind song. So I've done a whole lot of songwriting, a whole lot of production. I've had some hits. One of my number ones, the number one that I won the BMI Millionaire Award was One Way Ticket, because I can. And so, I've failed and I've succeeded in everything I've done. So I've learned a lot, and now that I'm teaching, that's my main hat, is teaching other people. And I end up teaching a lot of songwriters. Then I can use the stuff that I've learned in very practical ways. And it really doesn't matter what genre you're in, because the same things work. And so vocally, and, I know what it is to be a songwriter and the things that are important to that.
Wow, that's fabulous. Your story is so inspiring. I think for all the songwriters listening, it just gives, a spark of inspiration and hope that, hey, we can make it in the industry too. And also your point about how it doesn't matter what genre you do, it's so important to make sure your voice is in good health and trained well. So I'm so excited to get into this interview. To start off, can you share a little bit about why you think it's important for songwriters to train their voices?
Yes. And you may not realize it, but when you can sing better, you write better melodies. You write more interesting melodies because you can, to coin a phrase. So that's the number one thing. You actually can write better. Second thing is you can sing your own demos, or you can teach somebody else that you want to sing that demo because they sound just like the artist you want to pitch to. And the third thing is you can actually perform it live without people kind of, hurting for you as you try to sing your song live.
That's fabulous. Yeah, I mean, like when I started songwriting, I've been in college for a while doing a music degree, and so I've had a lot of vocal training, luckily. But growing up, when I was in like middle and high school, I wasn't the best singer, so I've definitely grown from taking voice lessons and really focusing on training, and it's definitely helped me as a songwriter as well. So great points. So what are some areas of vocal training specifically that songwriters should focus on so their voice works better?
Well, the truth is, whether you're speaking or you are singing as an artist or you're backing somebody up or you're songwriting, the same things go into voice. It's the same instrument that you use for all that. And I've come up with, through all my 50 years of professionally singing and speaking, uh, I came up with a method that I teach, and I combine three areas, and that is breath and throat configurations and communication skills. And these three areas are not only logically kind of sorting the things that are important for your voice, but it also happens that they're synergistic. So if you get your breath better, then your throat opens better. If you begin communicating in an authentic way, you do things differently that affect your throat and your breath. If your throat is tight, it's going to affect your breath. And so, you know what I'm saying? It all goes together.
Exactly, I love that. And I want to talk a little more about the breath because one of the first things that anybody is taught in any kind of vocal lesson or class is the singer's breath. So what exactly is breath technique and how do you achieve that?
Well, I'm going to preface that by telling you what my professional coach, Gerald Arthur, who uh, was just incredible. All the sessions singers used to work with him before our sessions. But anyway, I asked him one time about breath because he was just a miracle maker. He would work with people with damaged voices like mine used to be, uh, and just did miraculous things. But anyway, he said, if you need to know about breath, I'll tell you. And he never told me about it at all. Meaning, just do the right thing and your breath is naturally going to follow. Now, when I teach, I do sometimes specifically address the breath, but here's the bottom line. All it is the balance of breath support and breath control. And if you get too much of one or the other, it's almost like being a violin player or a guitar player and strumming too hard or bowing too hard or bowing or strumming too soft. Neither one of them work. You have to set up that vibration in the string. Well, we want to just set up vibration in the vocal cord. And so getting that right, that's the important thing, is getting that balance. And the quickest way, you want to know the quickest way to get
Yeah, let's hear
it?
it.
Okay. Posture. It's where your head is in space, literally. And you want to balance your head, whether you're sitting and playing guitar or piano, or standing and holding a mic, or standing in the front of the recording mic at the studio doing your demo. You want to stand, or you want to position yourself where your head is balanced over your tailbone, not your pubic bone, over your heels, not the balls of your feet. And what that does is instantly open your rib cage, giving you better breath control because it widens your diaphragm. And it also tends to make you naturally come from where your power center should feel like it is, not the chest. Sing from your pelvic floor. And so if you do that, you're going to support your voice. And if you have your head back a little bit, then you would think if your knees first, not nose first, then you're going to have that breath control. And then you're going to, when you want more power, you just sort of squeeze from the butt, like squeezing a balloon from the bottom up, a water balloon. And then you support your voice, but you support it up against control. So I hope that makes sense.
It definitely does. That's fantastic. And just for anybody listening who's curious, how do you see the sound difference of the voice when the breath is properly supported versus when it's not? How does that change in the sound?
How does it change the sound? Well, when you've got too much breath support and not enough control, um, hmm, what's a song? Somewhere over there. Sorry, I probably blasted your ears
You're
out,
good.
but that's kind of what that's what it sounds like, and that's what it feels like. when you've got too much support and not enough control. When you've got too much control and not enough support, meaning you're not bringing enough air, it's going to be somewhere over the rainbow. Weak and definitely, not controlled. But if you balance it just right, somewhere over the rainbow, and you've got all kinds of control and all kinds of choices you can make instead of limitations.
That's fantastic. It's almost like you can be more expressive when you have everything balanced properly.
Yes, 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 yes. You hit the nail on the head. You can be more expressive. Yeah.
Fabulous. So let's get into a little bit of the recording side. So, one of the things that songwriters have to do a lot is get properly recorded demos to pitch their songs. And if the songwriters are recording the demos themselves for specific artists or genre, what are some tips you have for them to properly use their voice and improve their voice during this demo recording process?
Okay. Well, it's pretty simple. It's complicated, but it's really not. There's two things you need to do. One, you need to set yourself up these two ways. One, physically, and that means you set yourself up by moving the cue box out in front of you. Move it to the side, move the music stand out to the side so you can walk in to the mic a little bit and you can use your hands underneath the mic without hitting anything. That is going to give your rib cage more girth, more width, and that means you're going to instantly have more control. Another little ninja trick I'm going to give you is that you can take a drumstick or a back scratcher in between your palms, and just play with it, just kind of press into it with both hands as you sing without thinking about it. What are you doing there? You're widening your rib cage when you want to apply more power. You'll actually get just a little bit taller and wider. And that stick, especially for guitar players and piano players, makes you feel like you're with your instrument because your hands are actually helping your rib cage widen. Whereas if you're an instrumentalist and you're not using your hands, then your rib cage tends to be, like anchored down by your hands that don't know what to do. So that's a real ninja trick physically. And then you also open your throat because your throat opens up down and back. You open your throat since you're walking in knees first, not nose first. You'll have to back your head up a little bit. That opens your throat and it opens your rib cage. And so you're immediately in the position to set your voice up for success. Okay. So that's physically. The second way you need to set yourself up is psychologically. What does that mean? Well, it's acting technique. It's who am I talking to? And the answer better not be the pop filter. Okay. Or the producer. You want to talk to the person you wrote the lyric to. The person you wrote the lyric to. And then how do you know you're successful there? Well, you get a response. It's acting technique. So your raison d'etre, your reason for making sounds there in the studio is to get the specific response that you want from the heart your lyric is to. And if you think that way, first, it's going to do all kinds of different things for your voice. Your voice is going to have its marching orders. It's going to know what tone it needs to make to get that response. It's going to know how loud it needs to be, how complicated that vocal lick needs to be or left out. You know what I'm saying? So the variables that you can choose when you sing. First of all, you've got variables because you're physically set up. But secondly, you're choosing for a reason. So people miss that so much. And then that's what's going to breathe life and magic into your vocals.
Wow, that's amazing. I absolutely love, especially the point about psychologically setting yourself up because I've always kind of tried to keep in my head that I need to believe everything I'm saying and you have to hear the emotion, especially when you're trying to pitch a song. If it's an amazing song, but there's no emotion or expression in that, it probably won't deliver as well.
Yeah, not only passion, but authentic to the message. Not just let me feel this more, uh, if you overexpress or you even, express at all, but you express to the wrong heart that the lyric doesn't make sense to, trust me, the magic is not there. So it has to be authentic. So you have to have that's the third part of my vocal training is I call it power path and performance, the power of breath, the path through the open throat, and performance, meaning you're actually communicating a message to somebody.
Wow, that's amazing. Fantastic. So let's talk a little more about performing. What are some tips you have to deliver a song with more impact during a performance?
Well, first of all, it goes back to the same thing you should be doing whenever you're singing, which is singing to the heart the lyric is to. If you get that straight in your head, and just like the studio, you set yourself up physically as well. If you're sitting on the songwriter round stool, put one foot all the way down and put your guitar or on, maybe on the other leg, but press your foot down so that you're pulling for power instead of pushing for power. And that can help you. A big thing though, here's one of the biggest mistakes singer songwriters make on their live performances, and that is you're still in singer songwriter mode. That's an internal mode, not an external mode. That's a thing where you don't have to really articulate because you're just thinking it anyway. You're just kind of you're preparing or you're rehearsing delivering this message, but you're not actually doing it yet. That's what we're doing when we're songwriting. We're thinking it up, right? But when you actually have to perform it, or whether it's studio or live, you need to get out of singer songwriter mode. And a real ninja trick for that is to imagine the heart that you're talking to being selectively deaf so that you have to spit the words out uh, so that they can understand the words, even if they can't hear you. And then you're going to start articulating in a way that opens your throat, even and gives you more resonance, besides communicating more passionately. So, setting your focusing on the heart. It's to if it is the story song to the one heart of the audience, not to everybody in the room, but to everybody as one in the room. That's different. That's so different. It's like being a laser beam instead of a flashlight beam. And here's the other thing that thinking this way does once you set yourself up where you're over your tailbone or your heels if you're standing and you're thinking about the heart the song is to. The thing is it also takes away stage fright. It gives your voice its marching orders and your inner lizard brain goes, oh, I know what to do. And then you're not scattered. You're not you don't have a little stage fright thing going on that you will if your voice has not been given clear directions about why the heck it's about to make a sound.
Wow, that's amazing. So, a little follow up question here is when somebody is rehearsing for a performance, you would suggest to really rehearse as if you're singing to the audience because when I started doing live performances, I would just sit in my room and like sing as as if I was just like singing, but I haven't really practiced as if I was singing to an audience because I haven't done many live performances. And the first couple performances I did, I really noticed like I'm not really prepared. So what are some of your rehearsal techniques?
Now here's the thing. It's not like a rotten thing to be in singer songwriter mode. You just got to know when you're doing what and be sure you're doing what you need to at the right time. You're not picking the wrong mode. And the other thing about rehearsing is, and I've got a blog post and podcast thing on the difference between rehearsal and performance voice. And the thing that's different is sometimes rehearsal is about creating what I call the dance of the melody. Like, where do I need to uh, elongate that E vertically so that it's not coming out like that? You know, where do I need to breathe? Where do I need to change the phrasing here? Where do I need to pull back a little bit for that high note and rock my head down? All these little things that we need to memorize, very much like learning a dance routine. Well, it's the dance of the melody. So once you create the melody, the second thing you need to do is practice figuring out how best to accomplish that melody, right? And so then you practice that, you practice the dance, and you practice technical issues and limiting places or places that get tight. you figure out what the or with your vocal coach, you figure out what the fix is for that, where the voice consonants, shutting you down and things like that. You figure that out and then you practice that. Why? So you memorize that dance. Okay. And then you practice performing. And you can, most of the time, 10 times, like 10 to 1, you should practice technically 10 times as much as you practice emotionally. And here's why: your lizard brain will go, okay, I already said that to that person. Why are we doing it again? And it'll kind of shut down, it'll numb out. So just when you think you've got the dance kind of down, then just park everything and trust your training and actually deliver the message. And yes, you can rehearse that, but don't rehearse that way all the time.
Fantastic. Wow, this has been awesome so far. Let's move into vocal health, which is super important. So, what are your tips to get into good vocal health and stay there?
Well, first of all, I've got to tell you, I've got some free resources for people. And one is a 5-page document on vocal health that you can get on my website at judyrodman.com. You just sign up for it. And you'll also get my blog posts and podcasts that give you a lot more tips on vocal health. But some specific ones I'll mention right now are: pull, don't push for power. If I go, I'm going to move away from the mic a little bit. If I go, yeah, 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 that's a push. If I go, yeah, 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 that's a pull. The first way, I wouldn't want to do more than one time. The second way, I could do all day. And it's the feeling almost like you're inhaling. Jamie Van Der is another vocal coach. She calls it the inhalation sensation. But it is the energy of articulation, yeah, pulling you open instead of yeah, pushing you closed. And when you pull for power instead of push for power, oh my God, you can sing as long as you want to, and you'll never get vocally tired. You'll get physically tired and hungry, but not vocally tired. And the other things are common sense things, but people don't do them. Watch things that dehydrate you or gunk up your cords. And sometimes they can be different for different people. Uh, Caffeine, I mean, I drink coffee, but I don't drink it before a performance. Alcohol, I'll drink a glass of wine, but not before a performance. They're dehydrating,
Mhm.
And the other thing is gunky. Well, for me, it's cheese or chocolate. I wait till after the show to eat the cheese and the chocolate. And everybody, you got to kind of find what gunks you up, But the other thing, of course, water is universally true. Just like take an average of half your body weight in ounces, and that's about how much on a regular day that you should be drinking. You want to drink enough water, and you also want to have protein. Don't don't do an important gig or demo or whatever after eating just a bunch of donuts. You need some protein. Put some peanut butter on those donuts or something. But eat protein, like even a protein smoothie before you go, or nice clean meal of fish or chicken and or avocado and vegetables and a salad would be awesome. Another thing is don't slump while we're dealing with posture. Don't don't cradle your guitar. Wear it. Again, for that breath control, so that breath control is what keeps your voice healthy, so you're not pushing too much air. Um, and also, my favorite go-to for a throat soother is pineapple juice, and that's diluted pineapple juice, so it doesn't add to acid reflux, like 3 or 4 times as much water as pineapple juice. So put that in your little container that you take live or in the studio and sip on it. You don't have to drink it, when you're not singing, but sip on it between your songs. And sip on it right before you begin your show. And like that, it's a soother. The bromelain enzyme in the pineapple, it's better than any throat spray or lozenge or anything I've ever found, unless you're allergic to pineapple juice. Duh. that's the high points of vocal health, because your voice is part of you. So anything that's good for the rest of your body, including exercise and rest, is good sleep and all that matters. If you don't sleep enough, your vocal cords are going to be swollen, and they'll be swollen anyway when you first wake up in the morning. So you want to. Another last thing is do warm up. Even if you don't know how to do warm up exercises, just sing something lightly before you go full bore into singing. You should warm up your voice before a songwriter write, before a co-write even, or before you're going to do anything significantly vocal wise that day.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I also think, like what you said about, getting enough sleep and warming up. And I do 10-hour studio sessions. I start at 9 and we go to 7. And I never sing at the beginning. I tell my producer, I can't sing now. Like, let's just do the other instrumentation and I'll sing later because
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
not ready.
Yeah, yes. I don't want to do a master vocal. Me, no matter how much I've slept the night before, I don't want to start it till noon, preferably 2 for me. Now, a demo first thing, and listen, I've sung jingles at 8:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. So I know that I can if I have to. And if you have to do that early morning TV show to show, your latest song, you can do that. But you really want to, get up earlier and make sure you're warmed up and that interstitial fluid is pumped out of your tissues, and all that. But yeah, if I can possibly help it, I like to do leads later in the afternoon.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I have another question. So if a songwriter has a write around or they're recording in the studio and they happen to be sick or just super tired, what can they do to get better vocal performance? And I'm really looking forward to hearing this answer because I have terrible luck. And it happens that, a lot of my studio sessions, I wake up and I'm like sick for some, unlucky reason. So I'm really curious to hear.
Oh yeah. Well, the things you can do is especially drink up, drink water, drink more water and hydrate, and do a steam your throat in a hot shower, or bath, and really, really get that water going. And it's hard to do that immediately because the tissues really drink up the water that you drank the day before. So it's better if you can get steam in, along with drinking water. The second thing is raise your immediate energy level. And before your performance, do again, eat something easily digested and full of nutrition because you're going to need the energy. But make sure it's the nutrition and protein that doesn't, as I said before, gunk your cords up. Uh, the next thing, don't numb yourself because alcohol or other mood altering drugs, are really negative ways to get through because they'll numb your alertness. They may make you more loose, and that's great that you can feel maybe less stage fright or worried about your performance, but they'll numb your alertness and they can mask pushing or straining and dehydrating of your voice. So you're going to end up not sounding as good as you think you do. And the next morning, you'll realize what you did. The next thing you do is definitely warm up before that gig and cool down afterwards because cooling down, just like when you do athletics, that kind of can pump interstitial fluid that's going to build up out of your tissues, and the next morning you're going to wake up without having a trashed voice. You know, the other thing is you have to make the choice to support your voice, no matter how tired you are. And this is no matter how tired you are, and this is what people don't do. They let their little vocal cords take the brunt of the energy and the action instead of using their hips. So you've got to support your voice. Don't slump, which is everything. You're going to want to slump. You're going to want to push. You're going to want to try to get her done. But all of that is going to cause problems. Use correct technique, and then the last thing is know when you need to cancel. And that is going to be when you can't drum up the energy that you need to support and control your voice. So that goes back to breath. If you really can't do that, if you can't drum up, make yourself use that energy in the right way, then cancel. Or if you've got laryngitis, then you need to cancel because that's an actual inflammation of the vocal folds. And that's like, running on a sprained ankle. You're going to cause yourself to lose not just that week, but possibly, a month or two of being able to sing at your best afterwards. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. Fabulous. So I have one more question for you, and I'm really, really excited to hear your answer to this one. So one thing that I struggled with when I started songwriting and recording was I lacked a lot of confidence in my voice, and I was afraid to sing because I thought I wasn't good enough and all those kind of things. So what is some advice that you would give to a songwriter who is lacking confidence in their voice?
I love that question. My gosh, because everybody gets it wrong. And the right answer really does set it free. And that's this. That is simply this. Remember, well, I'm going to preface the simply this with this. Remember that most recording artists can't sing as well as their background singers. Okay, they don't have the ability their background singers do. So why are they the recording artists and perform? Why are they at Bridgestone Amphitheater? Well, the background singers are just singing behind them when they've got better, technically better voices, because the artist has this down. They know that it's about communicating. And the thing is, no matter what condition your voice is, no matter how well you can sing or not sing, no matter what your range is, if you get out there with a song that's within your range and you absolutely commit to that heart the lyric is to, then your lizard brain gets those directions and it doesn't care what you sound like. The only thing that matters is what response you get, not from the audience. The audience is gravy, but from the heart you're singing to. It changes things. When you do acting technique, you realize if you know who you're talking to and how you want them to respond, it changes everything you do. So I would challenge anybody that's feeling less, not that confident. First of all, everybody can get better. There's no such thing as perfect. Don't want to even go for perfect. You want to go for magic. And magic is how well you can get the response from the heart you're communicating to. So go for that instead of perfection, and the confidence will be instant.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so, so much, Judy, for this entire
Oh, you're
conversation.
so
It was
welcome.
amazing. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing having you. Where can you share with everyone where they can find you online and your website and find out all that you're up to?
Well, simply go to judyrodman.com and you'll find there a bunch of stuff, a lot of free information. And you can also find my blog and audio, podcast audio. You can also look for all things vocal on your favorite podcast app. And yeah, I love your podcast as well. I love being in the company of other great podcasters because it's a cool way to get the information out there that can help people.
Oh, fabulous. So it was such an honor having you on the show. Lots of great information. And yeah, like I said, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening to this episode with Judy Rodman, all about the voice for songwriters. And of course, until next time,
Stay
stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.